Hello and welcome back to another episode of Nick Tiffany's Movie Reviews, coming at you online and in print format at nicktiffany.com, in audio format wherever you get your podcasts, and even in video on YouTube, or Reels, or TikTok. Pretty much any of those social medias, you can find our stuff. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite directors. I would say favorite in terms of every time I watch a movie of his, I feel like I know what I'm going to get out of it. I feel like I know the tone going in. And because of that, I always end up having a pretty darn good time. Today, we're talking about Guy Ritchie's latest. And Guy Ritchie's been sort of on a heater lately. For the last few years, it feels like he's been doing about 2 films a year. We had Guy Ritchie's The Covenant last year, as well as Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre. I've been watching The Gentleman on Netflix right now, which is a fantastic series. Tons of fun. Just get home at the end of the day. Blood, violence, comedy, profanity, everything that Guy Ritchie is pretty good at packaging in a really entertaining way. And now that leads us to the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which boasts a big and bold cast, I would say. You've got Henry Cavill playing Gus March Phillips, who, since some of these Churchill diaries and things have been revealed to the public, there's thought that this guy is potentially the influence for James Bond. A young Ian Fleming was at the behest of M, working for Churchill as well. You've Cary Elwes, I'm just horrible at pronouncing his name, playing Brigadier Gubbins, or M, who is tasked to assemble a secret force of unruly gentlemen who would be willing to risk their lives, knowing that if they're caught, they might be killed, they might be tortured, the government disavows them. You know, how many times have we heard this story? So, of course, James Bond, Mission Impossible. If this is what leads into James Bond, it's understandable. You've got Alan Ritchson, who many people know as the massive and hulking Reacher on Amazon Prime, playing Anders Lassen, who is just really proficient with a knife and really proficient with a bow and arrow. Quite brutal, just hilarious with his accents in the film. Alex Pettyfer pops up out of nowhere to play Jeffrey Appleyard, a man capable of formulating some really curious but bombastic plots. Isa Gonzalez plays Marjorie Stewart. She's kind of going in undercover with Babs Olufsen-Macken's character Heron. The two of them kind of doing a little more of the espionage, leaving most of the battle and most of the fighting to the gentleman. Then you've also got Hero Fiennes Tiffin, who plays Henry Hayes, kind of a protege to Henry Cavill's March Phillips character. And then you've also got Henry Golden playing Freddy Alvarez, kind of rounding out the cast and bringing the explosives, all the bombs, all the big booms. He's their guy. So everyone has a role to play. Churchill needs these U-boats destroyed. The Germans are just advancing too quickly. The British are ready to surrender. Churchill says, F that. M, get a team together, get them to this fueling station, see what we can destroy so that we can hopefully get the Americans over, joining some troops so they can cross the Atlantic. And thus sets off a tale about 2 hours. Unrelenting violence, just action after action after action. I'm a sucker for silenced guns. You're doing silenced machine guns, snipers, pistols, whatever. A lot of this film revolves around stealth. Half the time it doesn't, though, and you could just use the silencer because it draws no attention to you. But Guy Ritchie just goes all out with this thing. I'm finding it not difficult to review because I really did have a good time with it. And while it does have a great story at its core, weirdly enough, I felt like I was just kind of there for the action. And there's just a lot of it. You've got jazzy kind of drums playing as every guy kind of goes and infiltrates and mows down some Nazis, which is always enjoyable to watch. There's definitely some of the Inglourious Bastards in here, tuned up to a different degree, and certainly, I would say, not as thrilling, though. And maybe it's because I had Inglourious Bastards in mind while watching this that I was hoping that maybe the central plot would move me just a little bit more, or kind of would really raise the emotional stakes. Obviously, there's a lot at stake when the Nazis are taking over the world. And, we really appreciate the fact that there were guys out there willing to do whatever it takes to kill them and destroy German operations. And so Henry Cavill really gets to let loose here, playing this inspiration for James Bond. He is completely unhinged, funny, cracking jokes often, not often taking things seriously when it comes to Germans trying to impose themselves upon him, because let's face it, he'll just slap them around and do it with ease. Between him and Richardson, the two of them, you don't want to come up against these guys. And so the film does a really great job of just showcasing how powerful both these men are. You've got Superman and Reacher. You don't want to fight these guys. You don't. And watching the film, they're just having too much fun with it. And so maybe that was part of it too, that it's just everybody's in on it. We're killing Nazis. It's going to be a great time. We're not holding back. And the film is really quite funny, both in some of the physical comedy and some great one-liners or just different expressions from people. It's awesome. It was a great time. But weirdly, though, I don't know. I came away from it thinking maybe this is influenced by watching the Gentleman TV show, too, that this is a really intriguing story. And, at first they're like, all right, we're 16 days to this trip. And then 30 minutes later, we're like, all right, we're 2 days out from the mission. Maybe it just felt like it moved too quickly. And I don't mind that it was a short film, but I was like, I'm really interested in these characters. Really like the story and everything kind of setting up there historically. So maybe I'm selfish. Maybe I wanted a little more, maybe a little more time with some of those characters would have fleshed out sort of what I was looking for, some of what with that emotional impact. There's some very tense moments, especially with Isaac Gonzalez's character and this actor Til Schweiger, who plays Heinrich Löhr, who's kind of the Nazi commandant of this island where all the U-boats and whatnot are being worked on. There's allusions or throwbacks to obviously some of what horrible things these Nazi commanders would do, especially to women. You get a lot of the Hans Landa type stuff there. They're building some tension, but again, there's a few little cuts in the film that maybe it was too quick or too slow of a transition that it lingers for a moment, and I'm like, what are we doing here? What's the vibe? Are we gonna dig into this evil, or are we just nope? All right, we're back on the beach. So I don't know. I really did enjoy this film. I think it makes for a great time. I think people are gonna watch it and have an entertaining time. Definitely check out The Gentleman if this is your cup of tea as well. For me, super enjoyable. Maybe not Guy Ritchie's best, but I loved watching all these dudes battle Nazis and kick ass for 2 hours. What more could you ask for? It's not as deep as you maybe like it to be, but watching Henry Cavill get some justice, get out there and make a great name for himself, I'm always down for that. If you're watching the video, you can see my cat shifting around. She's not feeling too good, so she's up here on my lap for a little recording. If she could just figure out which way she wants to lay down. Thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of Nick Tiffany's Movie Reviews. And there goes the cat. You can find us on all social media networks, podcast platforms, and even on YouTube under the same name, NT Movie Reviews. We got lots of great stuff coming up in the next couple months here with the Seattle International Film Festival kicking off. Tons of great blockbuster releases, so stay tuned. A lot of good stuff's on the horizon that I think you guys are going to like. Thanks again for listening in. Y'all have a great day.